Alrighty, let's take a look at this question. So we are going to integrate this. And when I first looked at this, I noticed the 1 plus cos squared, and then the fact that the derivative of cos is negative sine, which is the numerator of our integrand. So I'm thinking I do know that the integral of 1 over 1 plus u squared du, that's the inverse tan function. So that is what we're going to try and get to, essentially. So what we're going to do is we're going to let u equal cos theta, and then the derivative of u would be negative sine theta d theta. And that is almost what we have for the rest of the integrand, all except for the negative. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative, so negative du equals sine theta d theta. All right, that means if we now replace the integrand in terms of u, we would have sine theta d theta would be negative du. So I'm going to put the negative out here. You could take it outside of the integral sign completely, but and then I'll just put a 1 here, and then I'm going to put the du here. Now on the bottom, in the denominator, we have 1 plus, and cos theta was our u, so it would be 1 plus u squared. Okay, so now, and we have the limits on our integral sign we need to replace as well. So those are what theta equals. So we're going to let's do this in a different color. We want to figure out u when theta equals, we'll start with pi over 2. So what we do is we take what we called u, which was cos theta, and we put in pi over 2 for theta. And cos of pi over 2 is going to be up at the top of the unit circle, so that's equal to 0. Now, u when theta equals 0, so we put 0 in for theta, and we get cos of, I wrote theta, and we put a 0 in for theta. We get cos of 0 would be over on the right side, cos there would be 1. So we can now go back and replace our integrand, our limits on our integral sign. So instead of pi over 2 at the top, we're going to have a 0. And instead of 0 at the bottom, we're going to have a 1. And there we go. So now we can integrate. And as I mentioned up at the top, 1 plus 1 over 1 plus u squared is the inverse of tan. So, and then we got to keep that negative that's in front. So we have inverse tan of u evaluated from 1 to 0. And then we're going to sub in those limits, always the top one. So negative tan inverse of 0 minus negative, so that'll become positive, tan inverse of 1. Alrighty, now we have negative. Okay, so inverse tan of 0. In other words, where on the unit circle does tan of something equals 0? Well, in order for that to happen, y over x, the y would have to be 0 for tan to be 0. So that would happen either at 0 or at pi or at 2 pi. But we kind of, with tan, we stay in quadrants kind of in between negative pi over 2 and positive pi over 2. So we'd only use the 0. So this is going to be negative 0, and then minus negative became plus, and the inverse tan of 1. So then we're asking ourselves, where is tan equal to 1? Well, that would happen at pi over 4. So we'd have plus pi over 4. And then simplify that, would simply equal pi over 4. And there we go. That would be the value of that integral. Alrighty, I hope that helped.